A French court has found U.S. biotech giant Monsanto guilty of chemical poisoning of a French farmer in a case that could lend weight to other health claims against pesticides. The farmer, Paul Francois, says he suffered neurological problems including memory loss, headaches and stammering after inhaling Monsanto's Lasso weed killer in 2004. He says the company was at fault for not providing adequate warnings on the product label. The court in Lyon ordered an expert opinion of Francois' losses to establish the amount of damages to be awarded. Monsanto says it may appeal. It claims the link between the farmer's symptoms and potential poisoning was never established.
Anonymous News. As the world turns, what's new has our full attention. Courage is contagious. Join us to post what mainstream media will not. The truth. If you don't want this read to you, click links below. Thanks. White House blocking release of Monsanto-linked lobbyist email. February 22, 2012. The Obama administration is now blocking a Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) request filed by an environmental group, Public Employees for Environment Responsibility, PER, which is attempting to uncover Obama's connections to Monsanto-linked lobbyists. Keep in mind, Monsanto's products have been linked to some horrific effects on biological systems like the human body, not the least of which is creating necrosis and significant mutations in critical cell types. Also quite noteworthy is the fact that Monsanto was actually recently found guilty of chemical poisoning in the case of a French farmer. The group suspects the Obama White House of working with these lobbyists to defend genetically engineered, GE, crops and the attempts to get these GE crops planted in wildlife refuges across the United States. Part of the information which is currently being withheld by the Obama administration is part of an email from January 2011 from a lobbyist to a top White House policy analyst. This lobbyist was with the Biotechnology Industry Organization, or BIO, which regularly represents the interests of companies specializing in GE seeds like Syngenta and the infamous multinational giant Monsanto. The White House claims that they had to block portions of the email because it contained information on BIO's lobbying strategy. They claimed that if this strategy was released, it could cause damage to the group's competitiveness and those of the companies it represents. We suspect the reason an industry lobbyist so cavalierly shared strategy is that the White House is part of that strategy, said Catherine Douglas, the staff counsel for PER. Douglas is arguing that the email should be public record, adding, "The White House's legal posture is as credible as claiming Coca-Cola's secret formula was inadvertently left in a duffel bag at the bus station." PER has been doing phenomenal work exposing the connections between our government and bio-lobbyists, including the release of internal emails last July. The email release revealed that Peter Schmeisner, a senior science policy analyst and member of the Biotechnology Working Group at the White House, actually had been corresponding with a bio-lobbyist about one of PER's legal challenges. The lawsuit, filed by PER and their allied groups, was quite successful in that it halted the planting of GE crops within the wildlife refuges across northeastern states. PER has obviously not given up and they continue to fight the planned plantings of GE crops across the nation. In some of the emails obtained by PER from 2010, it was found that Adrienne Massey, a biotechnology lobbyist for quite a while, asked Schmeisner if the interagency working group is addressing the legal challenges put forth by PER. In addition, Massey forwarded some of the environmental assessments of the proposed GE crop plots at other wildlife refuges across the United States. These assessments could supposedly protect GE crop plots and wildlife refuges from further legal challenges in the future. The emails obtained by PER spurred them to seek out information on the interagency working group, referred to by Massey, which is known as the White House Agricultural and Biotechnology Working Group via FOIA request. The group boasts high-level officials from most of the Obama administration's agencies that deal with agriculture and trade, even the State Department, United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, according to PER. These discoveries have led PER to file a lawsuit against the White House in an attempt to get the information which was withheld from their FOIA requests. This would include not only the Massey email in question but the White House Agricultural and Biotechnology Working Group's schedule, the items on their agenda and their work related to GE crops in general. An attorney for Bio filed an affidavit which claims that the withheld portions of Massey's email contain mistakenly forwarded trade secrets. Bio operates in an advocacy environment in which there are many organizations that oppose the use of biotechnology, particularly in the agricultural arena, and that seek to persuade federal, state and local agencies to restrict the technology's use. If this information were released, competitors could imitate or seek to counteract Bio's strategy and further their own contrary agendas at the expense of Bio and its members, the attorney wrote. The White House is also claiming that they withheld the information according to current disclosure law, but Pear isn't buying it, and likely rightly so. Jeff Ruch, Pear's director, told Truthout that he believes that the withheld Massey email actually has the details of a concerted effort being made by bio lobbyists to have the White House help make sure that the environmental assessments of the GE crops on wildlife refuges are so strong that they cannot be challenged on a legal basis in the future. This is because groups like Pear regularly challenge the legally required environmental assessments in order to hold up projects like planting GE crops on wildlife refuges in court. Deborah Rock, an official with the United States Fish and Wildlife Services, FWS, claimed last year that the FWS had actually been allowing farming on refuges for years. Rock claims this is part of habitat restoration efforts and that the planting of herbicide-resistant GE crops would actually allow conservationists to grow ground cover while still killing unwanted weeds with herbicidal products. However, even classifying these types of crops as herbicide-resistant is misleading, because in the case of Roundup-ready crops produced by Monsanto, the crops actually still absorb all of the incredibly harmful Roundup, but instead of dying, these crops are genetically engineered to be able to survive the herbicide. This means that if these products are moved into the food supply, there are trace amounts of Roundup which actually make it to the dinner table. The mere presence of herbicides in the environment is something that any true conservationist would avoid like the plague, so Rock's statement is laughably nonsensical. Pear seems to realize the ulterior motive behind the effort to plant GE crops on wildlife refuges, which they see as an attempt by the Obama administration to boost exports of the crops. While European countries remain relatively skeptical about the safety of genetically modified, GM, foods, and some other countries have actually banned certain seeds, the United States government shares none of these concerns. Pear says that the White House and its working group is trying to give trade partners the impression that the United States government thinks GE crops are so environmentally safe that they can even be planted on wildlife reserves. Such a vote of confidence could increase the willingness of trade partners to import the GE crops, which have quite a long list of potential hazards associated with their use. Truthout has been doing one of the best jobs of keeping track of the United States' efforts to pressure foreign nations into accepting exports and GE crops, including countries like France and Spain. Through the release of some WikiLeaks cables, it was found that essentially United States diplomats were working for companies like Monsanto by going around the world promoting their GE products. The first legal challenge relating to the planting of GE crops on wildlife reserves came after Pear was contacted by biologists with the FWS who were opposed to the planting of GE crops on said reserves. Later, Pear actually received an internal email which they believe shows that Tom Vilsack, Secretary of the USDA, actually was pressuring FWS to support GE crops. In the email, dated January 14, 2011, David Hayes, the Interior Department Deputy Secretary, relayed to some of the top Interior Department and FWS officials that, apparently Vilsack is somewhat exercised that the administration is not being consistent in supporting genetically modified crops. Of course, when asked about this high-level pressure, Rock claimed that she was completely unaware of any internal pressure coming from the upper levels of the Obama administration. This is just more of the "I do not recall" plausible deniability nonsense. Hopefully Pear's legal challenges will be treated in a just manner and we will be able to get an accurate glimpse in the world of corporatism which is so egregiously damaging our nation. The case of Monsanto and the American diplomats' promotion of their products is just about the most perfect example of how corrupt our so-called government has really become. Please help share this article with others. See links to this below. Thanks.
Dear President Obama, I don't mean to cause a bunch of drama, but I hope you don't mind if I raise my voice to state my issue with your choice of Michael Taylor for the FTA senior advisor. You see, I know you care about good food, and in general you're a conscientious dude. I know you've worked to change the school menus, and Michelle's Gardens have made the news. But let's not kid ourselves, this is a big deal of a different order. I mean, what the hell were you thinking? I mean, had you been drinking? How could you get into bed with Monsanto and act like you don't smell them stinking? I just don't understand it. Do you take me for granted that you'll have my vote in November? Come on now, why don't you be candid? You see, some of my close friends are farmers, and I don't mean to sound at all alarmist, but the guy you're appointing used to lobby for a company that's made a hobby of screwing family farmers left and right, screwing and suing. And I'm aware there are realities in politics that someone like me never sees. And of course you've had to cut some backroom deals and compromise some high ideals. But let's agree, this goes a little far. I'm just saying. Come on, man, are you joking? What the hell are you smoking? How could you climb into bed with Monsanto and not see the people they're choking? Listen, all that I'm saying, whatever debt you're repaying, there is no way that it can be worth all of the trust you're betraying. Sincerely, one of your biggest supporters.
The heroic fight with us. The honest support us. The corrupt fear us. For we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forget. We do not forgive. Expect us to expose you.